What if Nintendo's biggest Zelda surprise has already been spoiled? 3 months ago, an insider went on a podcast and laid out Nintendo's entire year. People laughed. Then, one by one, the predictions started coming true. And buried in that same list was this: a full remake of Ocarina of Time, the greatest game ever made, rebuilt for Switch 2. Nintendo hasn't confirmed a single word of it, but the internet has already made up its mind, because something very strange just happened. Here's the thing about this rumor. It should have died like every other Zelda leak. It didn't. Back in March, the insider known as Nate the Hate sat down on his podcast and reportedly mapped out Nintendo's whole lineup for the year. And on that list, right alongside a few other surprises, was an Ocarina of Time remake for Switch 2. Now, normally, you'd roll your eyes. We've heard Ocarina remake 1,000 times, and at first, that's exactly how people reacted. They ignored it. They called it fake. Another leaker fishing for clout. But this one had a detail people couldn't shake. It wasn't vague. According to multiple reports, the project was described as a full, ground-up remake, rebuilt from scratch, reportedly in development since 2022. And the more people dug, the more the story refused to fall apart. So the question slowly shifted. It stopped being, "Is this fake?" and quietly became something scarier for Nintendo. What if this guy actually knows? And then came the moment that changed everything. Because that same insider, in that same leak, also said a new Star Fox game was coming to Switch 2. And on May 6th, out of nowhere, Nintendo dropped a surprise Star Fox Direct. Star Fox 64, remade for Switch 2, launching June 25th. He called it. Out loud, weeks early. And here's the psychology. The second one half of a leak comes true, people assume the rest is real too. So the community did the math. If he nailed Star Fox, why would he be wrong about Ocarina of Time? Fans started calling the remake, quote, all but confirmed. Now, let's pump the brakes for a second because this matters. A good track record is not proof. Other leakers have piled on, like Special Nick, who claims there's even a limited edition Zelda console coming. But his Nintendo track record is shaky at best, and at least one outlet says some of the wilder specific claims are flat-out false. So no, this isn't confirmed. Nintendo has said nothing. But belief doesn't need proof. It needs momentum. And after Star Fox, this rumor has all of it. Which raises the real question. If this is real, what does an Ocarina of Time remake even look like in 2026? Okay, let's dream, carefully. Reportedly, this isn't a remaster. It's being compared to Final Fantasy VII Remake, a complete reimagining. And the studio fans keep pointing to is Monolith Soft, the team behind the worlds of Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade. Picture it. Hyrule Field, rebuilt with that kind of detail. The Forest Temple, the Shadow Temple, in modern fidelity. And yeah, that means Dead Hand, in 4K, ready to ruin your sleep all over again. But here's where the fandom splits right down the middle. Because the moment you say reimagining, half the community panics. There's a phrase they keep throwing around. Ocarina of the Wild. The fear that Nintendo takes this tight, dungeon-driven masterpiece and turns it into another giant, empty, open world. One camp wants exactly that. A bigger Hyrule, because the original might feel a little empty after Breath of the Wild. The other camp is begging Nintendo, quote, polish it, don't redraw the compass we fell for. Keep the dungeons, keep the pacing, just make it beautiful. And then there's the dream nobody argues about. Finally fixing the Water Temple, the dungeon so frustrating that the creators themselves literally apologized for it. So, a remake could modernize the combat, expand the world, and fix the one thing everybody hated. It sounds perfect. But that is exactly the trap. Every single one of those changes is a chance to get it wrong. So before we get carried away, we have to ask the question almost nobody wants to. Would fans even want all of that? Because here's what nobody hyping this wants to admit. Remaking Ocarina of Time might be the most dangerous thing Nintendo could do. This isn't just a game. For millions of people, it is the game. #1 of all time, and you don't get to touch a legend without consequences. We've watched this exact movie before, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Gorgeous, beloved. and it changed the story so much it split the fan base in half. Some called it genius, others called it betrayal. Then look at the Resident Evil remakes. Reportedly the gold standard. They rebuilt the mechanics, kept the soul, and fans loved them. Proof it can work. But then there's Demon's Souls. Visually, one of the best-looking games ever made, and yet some fans swore the remake lost the grime, the dread, the feeling of the original. Beautiful, but somehow not the same game. So now look at Nintendo's tightrope. There's even a fear they play it too safe. That they treat Ocarina like the Star Fox remake, just a fresh coat of paint, and charge full Switch 2 price for it. Change too little, and fans say it's lazy. Change too much, and fans say you ruined the best game ever made. There is almost no safe path. So if they pull this off, it's a miracle. And if they don't? But step back, and there's a problem that has nothing to do with the game itself. And honestly, it might be the saddest part. Nintendo's entire magic is the surprise. That moment in a direct, when something impossible appears and the whole planet screams at the same time. Leaks steal that moment. And we are not guessing here. Kit Ellis, Nintendo of America's former marketing lead, said it out loud. He said, if you're Nintendo right now, you are, quote, pulling your hair out. That this is a worst-case scenario. And that Nintendo is, quote, absolutely furious. Because their whole marketing is propped up by surprise, and a leak this big rips that away. And here's the cruel twist. It might be Nintendo's own fault the fire is still burning. Their president recently teased new titles beyond those already announced. To a fan base already convinced, that sounds a lot like confirmation. Every single day this rumor lives, fans build a perfect version of this remake in their heads. One no real game could ever beat. And with a Nintendo Direct rumored for this month, we might be about to find out if reality can survive the hype. So does Nintendo win? Or did a podcast leak already decide how we'll feel before we even play it? So let's land this. Based on everything reported, here are the 3 ways this ends. 1. It's real, and Nintendo nails it. A ground-up Switch 2 remake that respects the original and finally fixes the water temple, and it becomes the system's killer app. Nate the Hate becomes a legend. 2. It's real, but it can't survive the hype. Too safe, or too Ocarina of the Wild. It reviews fine, the fanbase splits, and the version in our head stays better than the one on the cartridge. 3. It was never coming. The leak fizzles, and a whole community grieves a game that never existed. So what's most likely? Based on the pattern. The Star Fox leak landing. The track record. The way Nintendo leans on its classics to sell new hardware. The smart money says something Ocarina-related is genuinely in motion for Switch 2. Whether it's the full Final Fantasy-style dream or something smaller wearing the name, that's the part still up for grabs. And we might find out within weeks. So tell me straight in the comments. If Nintendo remakes Ocarina of Time, do you want a faithful rebuild? Or a full reimagining that changes everything? And be honest, did this leak make the reveal more exciting? Or did it just spoil the greatest surprise in gaming? I'm reading every reply.